They say every grave tells a story, but some graves whisper louder than others. I never used to believe in such things. Ghosts, spirits, hauntings, they were just tales old men told by candlelight to spook children. Trees had crept in, their roots lifting ancient headstones like crooked teeth. Iron gates hung rusted and ajar. The place was being considered for a heritage conversion. Clean it up. Only the crunch of my boots on dead grass broke the silence. Mark the stones. Build a small park around it. I was just there to map the boundaries. A few dates I could make out. 1876. Holloway. Returned, but not at peace. 1839. 1802. One grave, hidden under ivy. Read simply M. Not pain, just pressure, like something was watching. I was a man of logic, trained in numbers and facts. I worked as a surveyor for the council, measuring old lands for future development. That's how I found myself at St. Alora's Cemetery one October morning. The graveyard had been abandoned for over half a century, but something about the air felt wrong. It was colder than it should have been, though the sun shone and everything was still. No birds chirped, no leaves rustled. I started at the far end, checking coordinates, logging stone positions. Most names were worn off by time. I remember that one clearly because the wording struck me as odd. Not rest in peace, but not at peace. By midday, the light dimmed it from clouds, but as if the sun had grown tired, I felt a heaviness in my chest. By the time I stood up, the graveyard was blanketed in it, blurring every shape, but it glitched, kept spinning, showing me I was moving in circles. I turned. I couldn't even see the gate. Not walked away, gone, like breath in cold air. Still, I continued. I don't scare easily. Tall, thin, standing beside a gravestone. But when I blinked, it was gone. As I moved past an old stone crypt half buried in the earth, I heard something faint, like fabric brushing stone. Nothing. All fine. The keys turned, but nothing. The engine was dead. I told myself it was a branch or window, neither existed in that silence. Then I saw it. A figure. At first, I thought it was a statue. I packed up my gear. Something told me to leave, but my truck wouldn't start. I checked the battery, the connections. I was stuck. I radioed the station, but the signal was faint. Only static answered. That's when I noticed the fog. It rolled in from nowhere, thick and slow. I began walking, using my GPS to guide me. I stopped near an open patch where the fog seemed thinner. There was a fresh mound of dirt. That made no sense. I don't remember choosing a direction. I just ran. But the more I moved, the more the graveyard twisted. Headstones shifted. Trees leaned in. The very path I had walked in the morning was gone. No one had been buried here in decades. Then I saw the coffin. Dozens. Pale, thin, eyes sunken and black. Some had ropes around their necks. Others, old bullet wounds. One dragged a broken leg behind him. All watching me. Too familiar. Not moving. Just staring. It was old, wooden, slightly open. The wood creaked as if shifting under pressure. I approached, slowly, heart pounding. Inside, nothing. Empty. But the lining was torn, as though something had clawed its way out. I backed away. And then I heard breathing. Behind me, slow, wet, labored. I turned. Nothing. The grave with the fresh dirt was gone. In its place was a headstone. Then again this time, right next to my ear, a whisper. Why are you here, surveyor? Lost in the fog. Found himself too late. I ran. And then I saw them. Figures some graves aren't meant to be found. Whether I died and came back, whether they was warned ... or replaced. Then, slowly, they began to smile. It was the most terrifying thing I've ever seen. Not because the smiles were evil, but because they were familiar. I realized, one by one, they wore my face. Different ages, different clothes, but all of them me. I screamed, "What do you want?" One stepped forward. His eyes were mine, but empty. "To show you," he said. Lying next to the fresh grave, he reached out, and I saw his hand pass through mine. Suddenly, everything froze. A flash, and I was no longer in the graveyard. I was underground, in a coffin. My hands scratched wood. My lungs begged for air. I couldn't move. Buried alive, I screamed only to wake up. Gasping, in the middle of the cemetery. My clothes were torn, fingernails bleeding. It was night, and the fog had cleared. Don't answer the whispers. My truck working. I drove away, never looking in the rearview mirror. I quit my job the next day. I went back once. Months later, Marcus Elwin Holloway. That's my full name, but I never told anyone. I don't know what happened that day, but I know this. When the air goes still, and the fog rolls in, and some people aren't meant to leave,